Joseph, unwilling to expose Mary to public disgrace, planned to dismiss her quietly. Our gospel verse for today's reflection is very closely connected to yesterday's reflection on Joseph being a righteous man. I had mentioned yesterday that Joseph had every reason to bring public shame and disgrace to Mary and to her family. But he planned to dismiss Mary quietly. When Mary became pregnant with Jesus, it was surely a terrible shock to Joseph because they had not yet lived together as husband and wife. The only logical conclusion Joseph could reach on his own was that Mary was pregnant by another man. In other words, that she had committed adultery. That Joseph thought Mary was unfaithful to him and therefore wanted to dismiss her privately is the view that is supported by many church fathers and scholars, including Pope Benedict XVI. However, there is another theory, a less accepted one, that Joseph knew the child had been conceived of the Holy Spirit, and so he was afraid to take Mary as his wife. There is also the third view, which is in some ways between the two just mentioned. On the one hand, Joseph did not think that Mary had been unfaithful, but he also did not know how to explain her pregnancy. Therefore, he left open the question of how she became pregnant chastely. Now, we should not get too caught up in the details of these different views and opinions. Rather, we must focus on its message for us, on the life lesson that this passage is teaching us. In one of my recent homilies, I quoted Empress Catherine II of Russia, who once said, "I praise loudly, I blame softly." Joseph is a good example of that. He had every reason to blame Mary loudly, but he chose to blame her softly and quietly. Sisters and brothers, today, in this age of social media, public shaming is common. Public shaming is nothing new. Throughout history, offenders have been disgraced in public places at the hands of their fellow citizens. However, public shaming today happens fast, a lot of the times in anonymity, with often devastating consequences. Unfortunately, there have been people who have lost everything because of public shaming, and people who have taken their own lives because of public shaming. Living in these circumstances, Joseph is a great example of blaming softly and acting with charity in our hearts. Let us reflect today. How do we react when we hear of people doing not so honorable things? Do we act with charity in our hearts? Join us tomorrow as we discover that Joseph is open to God's plan. God bless you and your families.